Click here to go live. Hello everyone, I am live. Get in there. It's been so long since I've streamed on YouTube, I didn't know how to go live. And honestly, the new way they've done it, I kind of like it. Before, you'd go live on OBS and you'd immediately go live on YouTube. Now you've got a button to press to go live, which is actually pretty good. But yes, we will be discussing MWIII Zombies, everything that's come out. I'm also going to world build from what I believe we've got going on. Sorry, that was really stressful trying to sort out this stream. But yeah, I've got loads of images set up. I have not watched any like YouTubers' videos. Maybe I should have watched Daleks, to be fair. What's going on here? Hold up. Let me just tweet out the stream. But I've taken a good read into things that was said yesterday. I listened to the podcast. Can't remember the name of the podcast, but it's done by Charlie Intel and Modern Warzone. I can't remember. It's like update requires restart something. Great little podcast to do on X/Twitter. And sorry, just quickly doing something. And it was an interesting listen to for everything MWIII. They couldn't talk about their own experience of playing the game, which is a bit unfortunate because I think we'd all love to hear their personal opinions. It more came down to what they got told. And yeah. So they got told that the movement was more fluid. They made it sound like it was actually really good movement without, you know, hitting on the nose that they thought it was really good. And yeah. We will just hop into the MWIII Zombies side of things, just because that's my sort of cup of tea. I have got Modern Warfare 2 downloaded, not downloaded, I've got MWIII open here, just because I think when I'm talking through my world build and talking about some of the things that we'll be discussing, having MWIII open will be great. Actually, I've not got my earphones in for MWIII, so I'm hoping that it sounds fine. What have I got plugged into my computer? I've got my earphones. Let's plug my headphones in so I can hear MWIII. Just to make sure I'm not deafening you all. Just quickly send that to someone. Boom. And yeah, I think when going through my world build, I'll need MWIII open. If you haven't played the Shadow Siege event right yet, I think it's worthwhile to download it just to try it out. In my personal opinion, I think it's pretty good. But it's gonna be you try it out to see what you think. I believe that it's going to be up for another, it says 2 days in the top left actually in MWIII. So you got 2 days to go ahead and try it out. I highly recommend it. And I will get into the world build. So, MWIII Zombies, what do we know so far? So MWIII Zombies, we know that there can be 24 players and there can be 6 players per squad. We don't know if that means like 10 players, 6 players in one game loading up, or if this is like 3 players and then you can join with another 3 players. All we know is that 24 is the max. So that's either 3 groups of 6. It could be 8 groups of 4. No, I messed that up. 8 groups of 3. Or 6 groups of 4. That's the maths. Personally, I think it will be the in-game, actually. I don't know if I can go to the store real quick. In the store for Modern Warfare 3, it says co-op being 2 to 3 players. But Dalek made it sound... Charlie Intel and Modern Warzone thought it was 4 players per team, whereas Dalek makes it sound like you can have 6 players straight away from launch. So we do actually know what's going on there. But let's just get into our starting discussion, which I can now sort out. So this is what I was trying to sort out this whole time. This is the Zombies image that got released on Battle.net, and it got released by everyone on the internet. Charlie Intel, Mr. Dark JD, everything like that. If anyone knows a good program, by the way, to where I can edit over this, I can circle things and go, this is what I think about this, etc. Just so then when I'm pointing things out, it's a bit easier. But this is also your Warzone map, as well as your Zombies map. Now, I saw some rumours when I was on X last night that the maps will be completely different, as in a different style. This to me just screams a Warzone map. It doesn't seem like anything's changed to be zombied. Do you know? I feel like if it was, these buildings will be maybe a bit destroyed, maybe some boards on the windows. This to me just seems like the Warzone map with zombies in it. Now, I'm interested that these zombies don't look like military or anything. These just look like civilians. And one of the story beats is that a group, which we'll get into later on, has taken the last bit of Ethereum left in the world, and what they've done is essentially lay it loose to create these zombies, probably to defend themselves or make some sort of thing happen, something that goes in their objective, which we won't know yet. Now, the thing is, the more center of the map you go, the bigger the threats are. And then on the outskirts of the map, you will actually encounter players and human people. Not players, humans. Which I think is interesting. I think when you look at this map, you can see that you've got 4 zombies surrounding a mimic from Cold War. I think this is a newer model, because I don't remember the skulls on top of the mimic. And I'll say this looks like a pretty solid model. I think it's an improvement over the Cold War model from my memory of the Mimic. We can see in the background some sort of Burger Town sign, and I assume that's the Burger Town restaurant. I don't know if this little white building with this red roof is a part of that, or if that's maybe a fire station, because that's kind of the style of fire stations I get from everything that's been done by Activision, is that they have these little roofs, like in Verdansk. Do you remember them fire stations with a little roofs? And then there's the fire stations in Al Mazrah, where it's like a tall tower. So I don't know if that's a part of the building. I think a good thing to note is these skyscrapers as well. We don't know if every floor will be accessible. Probably not, a bit like every Warzone map we've had. There'll probably just be a few floors being able to play. Maybe normally the top 2 floors in it, like the normally top 2, normally bottom 2 floors. I feel like that's about the floors that we get active nowadays. Which will be interesting with zombies, because imagine being on them stairwells and you just got zombies running down at you. It will be very interested. Hey Flamer, just for your CCast talking about all this, I did not even realise you was live. Were you on live on YouTube? I hope you had a good discussion, Flamer. I've got a lot to talk about on this. I spent a few hours just world building on this and just wanting to discuss it. If you feel free, Flamer, we can hop in a Discord call and we can talk as well. It's up to you. Just a little handout. Oh well, yeah, it was very fun. That's amazing. I don't think there's much more we can get from this image. We do know that Las Almas was supposed to be in the map, but this clearly doesn't give me Las Almas vibes. Oh, you do want to get a call. That's perfect. We'll have to make sure that your audio and stuff's good as well. But if we... nope, that's a different person with F. Call me on Discord. I'm just trying to find you. I've got loads of people with F. Because I've got in streamer mode, I've got loads of people with F ... Right, I'm calling Flamer now. I don't know if there's much more we can gather from this map. I don't know when you answer, by the way, because I just realised it's not calling.
Hello!
Oh, you've... hello! Everyone, welcome Flamer. I don't know if you've come through, actually. Let me just test.
I just having something in your stream. Just wanted to verify that everybody can hear me. Hello. Everybody.
Perfect.
Hope y'all are doing having a great night.
It's been so long, Flamer.
It has been a long time, baby. How are you doing?
I'm good. I wish I had this set up to be able to do this like it was a proper podcast. But I've just. I mean,
I just finished up another podcast, so.
Yeah. Just because I've got loads of image saved up, and I just wish I could like share them with you so I can just reference what I'm showing people at the same time. But anyways, do you have anything you've gathered from this image yet besides like I don't know if you were here from the start when I was talking about this, just what I've been talking about.
So what we were just discussing on the podcast itself is this is of course on the new Warzone map that was coming, but it's not supposed to be Al Mazrah because they changed it up to be East Urzikstan or something.
Yeah. So you mean it's not supposed to be Las Almas?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a car outside. Yeah, and they apparently changed it to be in East Urzikstan from what we've heard. Yep. But this doesn't scream to me like it's full on bland desert, a bit like Al Mazrah is. But I guess in some areas of Al Mazrah you can get kind of tricked in thinking it's not like that deserty sort of area. Mm-hmm. I do feel like this feels a bit to me Outbreakish, where it just seems odd that there's zombies here sometimes. Like Golova, for example, did not feel like a zombies area. Like it just feels like a civilization. But I mean, narrowly, it could kind of fit as well. But yeah, was that the only thing you had with this image?
No, if you look at the building behind the female zombie, like the one with the red roof, right?
Yeah.
Burger Town. That is straight from Verdansk, right? I believe that was like the clock tower or something. So
I said earlier that that screams to me, if it's not part of the Burger Town building, like a fire station building.
Yeah, fire station. That was fire station.
Because I discussed that it looks like the Verdansk version of the fire station, but also the Al Mazrah would still have them tall buildings in the middle, which you could climb up. So yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think that's a part of that building. I also discussed the skyscrapers will be interesting with the zombies as well, because normally it's 2 floors open at the bottom and 2 floors at the top, as well as the roof. So it'll be interesting having to climb all the way up, unless there's like zip lines, which I imagine there will be, but just having zombies just on that staircase would be interesting.
Yep. And I also was saying this about like the Mimic. I think like the Mimic's new design looks very, very cool. It reminds me of like the Chaos Mystery box, but also like World War II zombies.
You know what? I do get that World War II zombies vibe. Especially because World War II zombies is about like combining like dead people together and stuff. Yeah, especially with the Panzermörder as well. Yep. I do get that. I first thought of it. I was like, damn, it was the Panzermörder. I just want to quickly look up the Mimic's original model, because I said I think that's also a new model.
Yeah.
Because didn't it have like?
It was more purple.
Yeah, and it had like
Purple
spikes.
Yeah,
I guess.
spikes.
I guess this still does have spikes above the head, but it's not as definitely not as many spikes on the body.
Nope, indeed. The zombie on the right side, is that the exact same model from like the Warzone event? Was what I was thinking.
On the right hand side, I cannot remember those models. I can probably look up Warzone Zombies. What was it called again? It wasn't Haunting of Verdansk, was it?
Haunting of Verdansk, yeah.
Wasn't that Ghosts? Oh no, here we go. It's similar, yeah. Like they're more skulled out. It looks like it's more.
Yeah.
There's more of a bone there, whilst there's still some flesh over him. But yeah, it is quite similar.
Yeah. And I do think it's really cool that we have like zombies with hijabs on. Is that how you call them? Hijabs? I mean, that's what we call them here.
Yeah, they hijabs, yeah.
Yeah.
I've said this feels like civilians being killed here and turned to zombies. Not into, just to put into zombies perspective, more into the realm, not of like Chaos Story where people got turned into zombies, because they just turned into like different entities, I believe. I don't think it was them as zombies. This actually feels like they've died and then come back to life, maybe Fire Ethereum, or I actually don't know how zombies are formed in the Dark Aether story.
Yep.
Do you know how they're formed? All?
They're mostly formed because of the exposure to the Dark Aether itself and the starvation. It's like what we've seen in Black Soup with the Flash. You know how like they consume it and they hear like the voices.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
along that line.
I guess that this could be the dying and getting reanimated somehow with Ethereum, because this feels like they died just recently. Well, not too recently, because they are a bit molded, but from here. And they've died in this place and reincarnated. Maybe from the outbreak, we don't know. Is there much more you'd like to discuss with this photo? Because I've got a lot to discuss, but if you have other parts, we can happily discuss it.
Well, what I already saw, which is interesting, is we know this is like I'm just gonna call this mode ZMC just to make it easier for myself.
Okay.
But we see cars in the background, but I don't think there will be any drivable cars in this mode.
Yeah, we've got no evidence of vehicles yet. I'm not too sure yet, because I don't know how. That's something to say on. I think they could be there, but they might not also be there, because it just depends on how you being a vehicle can be countered by zombies. Because in game it's like throwing flesh and like the Avogadro and stuff. But yeah, no, I agree. There might not be cars, but there could also be cars. It's kind of up in the air. I think that's probably just a design decision that's going to be decided on the final day, I imagine, like the final days of development.
Yeah.
Let's move on to this image from Charlie Intel. I'll talk about it and then you'll see on stream. Essentially, Charlie Intel talks about it's basically DMZ plus Outbreak, which is actually not the vibe I'm fully getting. It feels like its own thing that may have taken slight elements from both, but it's still going to stand on its own 2 feet. Maybe more closer to DMZ than Outbreak. It will be PvE only, which I am grateful for. As someone who's been playing DMZ and just dying to people just wanting to first when you're doing missions has been annoying. I would be curious about PvE mode, but I don't mind that not being there at launch. As we've discussed, it's playing the new Warzone map. Charlie Intel's information here could be wrong with the 4-player squads up to 24 players. So
yeah, that's very interesting with how people are saying different kind of things.
I think that it's just because Modern Warzone then said in the podcast between them that he had different information as well. So we'll just see about what's going on there. Buy stations are back. Ammo depots, war buys, mystery boxes, and Pack-a-Punch is back. I would like to notice that mystery boxes, I'm assuming that means there'll be multiple active at a time, which is good because of how big the map will be.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There'll probably also be multiple Pack-a-Punches, I imagine, just because of how big the map is. You can exfil with rewards, and the cinematic story is part of Treyarch Zombies storyline. Now, that bottom bit is like the main thing I'm going to be discussing. Most of this thing is talking about the story part. But that's going to be the whole stream. For this part, buy stations, are we imagining that buy stations are more like what we see in Warzone and DMZ? Or do we think it'll be like the crafting?
Yeah, I feel it's more going to be along the crafting way. I feel like the buy stations themselves might be like, remember how they did score streaks in Cold War, where you could craft them and then buy them.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I'm thinking along that line.
So
I don't think they'll be using Essence, because we know Essence is going to be the point system already. As a way to buy stuff, because who out of the military would like, oh, let me get some essence? Like, we know there's like these two groups and everything, but I don't see them being like, oh yeah, we need essence. They'll be like, America, we need money.
Right, gotcha. How my opinion on the buy stations will be, I'm more thinking that it might be on the lines of Warzone-esque, just because I feel like they won't have salvage. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. Just because I feel like that's just you want to make it a bit simpler, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing with Vanguard Zombies and the thing with Cold War Zombies was, what I got from people who were casually playing the game is that they never really interacted with the salvage system fully. Like, they knew it existed, they knew about the upgrading rarity on your shield and your weapon, but they never interacted with the actual crafting table. But with there being wall buys, do we think that weapon rarities will be coming back as well? Because I don't see a reason for wall buys to exist in a game mode that you probably can just take your load out into. And
So, I honestly have never played DMC itself, but I know that you can gain like these gear slots, right? That give you stuff.
There is ways to upgrade certain things. So like you can start with a weapon, but if you lose that weapon or you die essentially, you have to wait like 15 minutes to 45 minutes for a cooldown. I can't remember the time. But you can open up other slots for that. So like you can have a second and third slot. So essentially you can always have the gun you want. Or you can just choose a gun that you've extracted before, which we know is a system in the game. There's upgrades to how much things you can hold. So like the keys or mission items or the actual contraband you have, the weapons you have. But I'm interested, I guess in a sense you could maybe have wall buys there. You know what, actually, I'm going to retract my point. Wall buys might exist in a world where you're going with no weapons, and instead of having to kill enemies for a weapon, which is an option in DMZ, you can loot a weapon via wall buy instead of like fire a crate. So maybe that's the idea of a wall buy existing. Potentially. I think the weapon rarity system might come back potentially for this mode. It would have to be a thing that Treyarch have developed though, because it doesn't currently exist in Warzone era, or this engine era, shall we say. Mystery boxes, I imagine, is a way to get wonder weapons, I'd imagine, as long as, and probably a quest as well.
Yeah.
And Pack-a-Punch is there to make your weapon good.
The feel about it though is that how it's saying how it is in the first act there will be human enemies, and in the second act there will be zombies. So I wonder how they're gonna do that, because they were just gonna show up with Pack-a-Punch ray guns up to like Coney group. Sayonara, suckers!
Yeah, well, I think that's literally how it's gonna be, is if you've got that, you can just bypass that first situation very easily. I don't think it'll just be the soldiers. I'm sure there'll be some zombies mixed in there, because apparently there's strongholds and stuff coming back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think that I've got a whole discussion about that in the story part when I get to that image. But I think that would be just a way to bypass them early stages. So instead of having to deal with them, you might just be able to kill them and just move on to the next stage. Or you could just even probably run past them. I imagine it's open enough where you just go towards the center of the map. You don't even have to deal with them. Mm-hmm. But we don't know how that'll interact yet. We don't know how open the game mode will be. It looks pretty open from the image. But yeah. Excel rewards, I imagine, for example, you might get rewards from your missions that we'll have, like DMZ. But I'm sure there'll be other rewards actually tied within how well you do. I'd hope, at least. Because if it's trying to make this like, oh, this is like the low enemy tier, and this is like the really, oh, this is massive boss you need to kill and things like that. Which in DMZ, I'll show on stream real quick. In DMZ, if you kill certain enemies, you can get upgrades that help you permanently. I'm in Modern Warfare 2 here. Let's go over to DMZ. So let's say the Panzer Mortar, or whatever it's called in Cold War. No, it's not called that. What's it called in Cold War? The big enemy. The Order. If you kill the Order, maybe you get an upgrade to be able to use or bring in something like maybe a revive pistol. So as you can see here, if you kill a chemist, you can unlock a bar trade for revive pistols. You can, if you kill a bomb maker, like how many times? 11 times overall, you can buy kill streaks at a cheaper price. I'm hoping there's some sort of system where maybe they have like 8 different bosses, and if you kill a certain amount of them, you get like personal upgrades. I don't really mind the extract stuff. Like, I don't know if you need to extract like 4 GPUs to get an upgrade. I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm a fan of the upgrades, I'm just not a fan of how they got done in DMZ. Except for that boss bit. I don't know if you have anything else to add about Exfil rewards.
So they're saying multiple rewards, right? Because it's like free acts. So what I was thinking, I want to talk like a little bit in depth about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know how they're saying there's like free acts of everything. So I was thinking, because the free acts serve as like the story, so we have 60 minutes to gather up as much loot as we can, right? To get strong. Then after the exfil, we get to the sub map, as they're calling it, and that's where we're going to be using those things to try and escape and get some part of the story. And then we go on to the next chapter, and vice versa. But I want to hear your opinion about this. You know how they're saying like the sub maps is like a different area, and I was thinking, what if they could do a World War II scenario? And if you don't know what I mean with that, it is what after you complete the first act, you get that sub-based map as a round-based map.
I mean, I'd like that idea. I feel like round-based is just getting saved for track titles. And it also depends on what that sub-map will be, because it could just be a building from, like, how do you know in Outbreak it just had like a tiny building sometimes to protect, or it could be, and my opinion on this was a unique area, but we don't know if that'll be the case, because my idea is that you do, let's say that we had a story mission. I'll actually go up to DMZ just to explain this as well. If I go to missions, so in DMZ, for anyone who doesn't know, you have a ranking system, and when you're a certain rank, you can do the story mission. So this story mission could be done at maybe rank 6 or something. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per tier. So I had a tier 1 story as well. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, this was a tier 1 story. So 6 per tier. So I imagine it might be you do 6 missions, whatever those missions may be. It could be, hey, help Sandra the Survivor in town, or whatever. Could be anything, or loot certain things and extract it. And then the story mission, I imagine, will be these subplots, or these submaps and subplots, which fill up the narrative, because this will be like maybe go to, let's just say, Glover's farmhouse and protect Oliver from death or something, I don't know. You do that, and then once you've done that, that's when you get this cinematic story come into play. And maybe one of these factions or missions may be like, oh, this Ethereum is actually letting us see insights from the past, a bit like Die Machine, where you were seeing the past a lot. And maybe you end up on Nact, and you're actually in the Aether world, where just before the Dark Aether stuff happened and Tag the Totem, and you're replaying as those characters, and you're having to survive, and then that vision goes to your player, and they're learning about Aether and what happened. That would mean they'd have to remaster maybe part of Nacton Totem somewhere on the map, or just in an individual thing. And maybe that unlocks a cutscene, and that it's about them people learning stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was also thinking about. This ZMC mode is basically set up to also tease the upcoming story in the next Black Ops game.
Definitely. Oh, that's the wrong image. It's this one I need. Yeah, so this will be definitely teasing the next Black Ops game, because we can assume that in Aether, what I assume is that this is happening after Cold War, but this is also going to happen for the journey of Zombie. I don't know how to describe this. Essentially, I think Gulf War is going to happen after this, and I know that's out of time. Like, I'm going from 80s to 2020 to then the 90s again. But I think this is where we're going to get this time travel sort of thing to happen, where linearly, actually, these zombies have just dealt with what happened in the 80s in Forsaken, and now they've appeared in the 20s. They're going to try and deal with this thing in the future, whatever's happening, and then they're going to get put back in time again to the Gulf War. I feel like it's actually linear so far, besides Vanguard, which was actually in the past of Cold War. I don't know if anyone else thinks that's going to be the time frame of it. I'm assuming that's a sort of a idea, because if it's happening after what's happening already in Gulf War, then we're going to have spoilers for the next game, which to me doesn't make sense to give us. We know how Vanguard got shot on for being the past, and already knowing what the ending's going to be with us winning.
Nom nom nom.
Exactly, nom nom nom.
I'll be honest, right? I expected the Vanguard final cutscene to be Psycho finding freaking Cortex remains.
I thought we were going to be going back to Die Machine with him getting put into the Dark Aether, and that was it. I didn't expect to see Psychoff munching on him or finding him. I just had it like, oh, we're gonna actually see what happened to that soldier going into the bunker.
That would have been something. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Was there an ending cutscene?
No, there was none.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of it off the top of my head. I'm just like, don't remember it.
Well done! The Cortex is defeated. Now go kill zombies.
Woo, you get 3 boxes on the floor, right?
Yep.
I think that was like the first Easter egg where I was timing how fast I was going on it because I kept doing it over and over. Because at the time I was doing... What was I doing? I was going for high rounds for some reason, and I just found it fun on that map, even though it's not a great map.
I mean, high rounds. I was doing high rounds yesterday on it, and I was having fun.
Well, yeah, I've not tried to load up Vanguard Zombies since Vanguard was a main COD. I played some Vanguard multiplayer for sure, but not Zombies. I might need to go back to it and play it. I've got not to do Modern Warfare 2 at least right now, so I could go ahead and do that. Next up, I have a tweet from Charlie Intel again. In the new Modern Warfare Zombies, while you'll be with other squads in the main gameplay, Treyarch confirmed there will also be a part of the mode that teleports your team to a separate area to battle zombies for more cinematic intel and rewards. We've kind of already touched up on that. Basically, that whole me talking about the mission thing was me talking about this. I don't think you need to add anything to this, right? We discussed it. Yeah, perfect. We will quickly just go over to JD. JD was lucky enough to go to Sledgehammer Games. I also found out that Sledgehammer Games has unfollowed me this year. I am sad. They followed me during Vanguard, but they've unfollowed me during this year. I'm sad. So no invite for me, I guess. But JD has tweeted breakdown of Modern Warfare 3 Zombies story missions. As you play the mode, you're going to have missions layered on that progress the storyline, similar to DMZ. I imagine. The story's been told through 3 acts, and at the end of each act there's going to be a special mission that transitions you from the big map to a sub-map where you have a more crafted experience. With a lot of bespoke activities in these missions as you move the story along. Completing these missions reward you with the cinematics to enforce those major story developments and the rewards. So these sub-acts, 3 sub-acts, I don't know if it will be tiered as the mission system, but up to 3 tiers. We'll just have to see.
Well, the thing is that they're saying about it is, it actually looked like it, is that when you actually complete it, you know, you go to the next act. But if you are to die, you have to restart from the beginning. That's what it seems like. At least for many people.
Huh, so people think you do them 3 acts in one game?
No, they're thinking like, you complete it once, then you go to the next one. You can basically choose to like take a break or anything, you know? And then if you want to continue, you go to the next one, and then after the 3rd act, it's gonna reset. That's what people are thinking right now.
Okay. I have a different take on that. I just think it's gonna be like DMZ with the 3, like you're gonna have like maybe 18 missions, but 6 missions gets you to a story mission essentially. And that's Act 1. Then another 6 missions, then Act 2's story. Then Tier 3 will be 6 missions, and then Act 3's thing, essentially. Because it says completing these missions rewards you with cinematic to enforce those major story developments, which sounds to me like once you've done that story and you're in your own little area with your own team, that's when you get into cinematic. And I think that's how it would be.
Yeah, Could be.
It's interesting that's the community thoughts of things. I've been trying to stay away from like people influencing my thoughts, just because I know Dad JD didn't actually play it, so he doesn't know either.
So many people just saying random stuff about it. That's the weird thing about all of this.
Right. Okay.
What is the actual thing? Charlie Into's saying 4 people. Zombie YouTubers say 6 people.
I would probably go with Zombies YouTubers because I think they're going to keep track of it more than Charlie Intel will. Even though Charlie Intel is a news source, I don't think Charlie Intel's make sure he's getting everything perfect written down in his pad. Modern Warzone thought it was 6 players per squad as well, so I would go with maybe that's the correct. So maybe Modern Warzone got it correct in his notepad when writing it down. Dad JD talks more about the story. A mercenary group called Terminus Outcomes has stolen the last known quantum of Ethereum and want to weaponize it. How I imagine this is they're weaponizing it in the middle of the map, which is why that's the high threat zone, essentially. Using one of those vials to escape, they create an incursion in the area. Zombies begin to infect and spread across the region. You're part of Operation Deadbolt, being sent in to both contain that incursion and also stop Terminus Outcomes from harvesting resources to further weaponize the Ethereum. Again, I'm assuming Terminus Outcomes will be one, if there's multiple, one of the human factions that are coming to attack you. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the stories or one of the missions to get to the story is to deal with like maybe Terminus Outcomes faction destroying a stronghold that they have, and maybe a different faction that they have. There's a chance that maybe Alcatal is in that game. We don't know. We kind of don't know where they're at after Raid Season 5 is kind of being left a bit in the dust.
Yeah, it's weird how they're leaving that story behind now fully.
We don't know if it's gonna...
Why? But it's still weird.
I don't think it's getting left behind. I think it's more of... I'm gonna put this in Destiny terms. They're just not doing anything relevant right now to put a focus on them. A bit like how in Destiny 2, sometimes you might go a few seasons without talking about like the Fallen. Just because the Fallen have just been defeated, they're kind of just regrouping and things. So they're not actually actively doing anything. So it might be just that Alcatel is just regrouping. They're actually not really attacking anywhere. They're just regrouping and just thinking about what they're going to do next. And they're coming back in Modern Warfare 4! Woo!
I mean, they did confirm that Modern Warfare stories are to be explored upon. So
really, I didn't see that.
did you not?
No.
So they said that they have been looking past the legacy games, and that they have like a full setup for like more Modern Warfare stories to come.
I mean, yeah, they can make infinite amount of Modern Warfare stories, because if you think about it, these are people, Task Force 141's in the military. Well, they're not fully in the military, but like military people. You got Captain Price and Ghost and Soap, who are kind of like, I guess Soap's not the older member. He's relatively young, I think, to the rest of him. But you got Gaz Farah there, who are more young and probably can carry on a story as well. You can probably do a Ghost spin-off if you wanted. You can do a... I don't know if you can do a Price one, but you can definitely probably go and do a Gaz one.
Also, do you think Price dies?
I doubt that Captain Price dies. If they're showing Captain Price going down in the trailer, it tells me that he's going to be like the only one that survives. I don't feel like they teased someone dying. Actually, let's think about this. Have they teased someone dying and they actually die in a COD game?
I mean, not indirectly, but didn't they do it for Park? In the trailer, you see them both on the ground, like Lazar and Park.
I guess, but then that's a choice of which one do you want to die, because you can choose either. You can even choose both of them if you really wish.
Yeah.
I I think I did all 3 options just because calling cards forced me to do all 3 options. But I think originally I saved Park just because I didn't ever speak. Whenever I spoke to the Tsar, it was just nonsense usually in the like little base thing I had.
I think everybody chose Park.
Yeah, probably. The last tweet I have by John here. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No.
The Modern Warfare 3 Zombies gameplay details a new open world experience, the largest map in Zombies history. Again, the Warzone map. Up to 24 players in one match, up to 6 players per squad. Again, different things to what Charlie Intel said, but I would go more based on John. This could actually be 2 ways. This could be 6 players loaded in, or this could be 3 players that can team up with other 3 players, potentially. Like DMZ, that's what you can do in DMZ.
Yeah.
And it's extraction-based survival experience, so extraction-based DMZ, survival to zombies elements, your DMZ. I don't think we need to discuss more of that. I feel like we've touched on that.
Yep.
And the last image I have, and the other thing that I think is relevant, is the Las Almas map. This is the map that's supposed to be the Warzone Year 2 map, but it got changed to be similar to this, but in East Urzikstan. So it's going to be a bit more deserted. This apparently isn't as perfect as it was when this image was made. I can probably make it bigger actually. Here we go. There we go. Now, as this as a zombies map would be very interesting. You'd probably want to spawn because it's like little towns on the edge, and it looks very barren in the middle. But we know that probably isn't going to be how it is.
That we will spawn in on the edge of the map, so.
Right. So if you look at the edge of the map, there's little like towns and stuff. Do you think?
Yeah.
So if this is how it's going to be, do you think we're going to be spawning like these little towns, but then we're going to have to run through this like open area in the middle?
I mean, that could be the area where like everything spawns, you know?
Potentially.
Like, that's where they're doing like the tests. That's where the zombie spawns in, and then in the towns they have like the military AI.
Yeah, potentially. I'm just worried that if this is as open for the area where apparently it's supposed to be a high threat, wouldn't that make it too easy if it's so open?
I guess, yeah.
Like, I guess on this like little water bank where there's like the circular bit of water, it looks like there's like a little tiny town there. I wish I had like some way to highlight on stream to show what I'm talking about. Like that seems like it'd be a dangerous area to be, but like the rest of that little tiny bit in the center just looks so open and free. I'm also curious if what happens when you're swimming. Did we ever have that in Outbreak where you were swimming? Oh, we did. Armada, right?
Yep, Armada. There's also what's that map in the middle? The night map, Sanatorium.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. How did zombies act again when you're in the water? Did they throw guts at you?
Yeah.
Okay.
They also followed you sometimes. It's very funny.
Did that? I can't remember that. It'll be very interesting on these water areas what happens with zombies in those areas. I imagine they'll be throwing guts. I imagine was throwing guts in Vanguard?
Yes.
I imagine that I imagine that's been developed then for Warzone 2 in this engine. The guts mechanic, because I think the jump up from Vanguard to this new engine isn't as drastic to where probably most of the code of Vanguard works well with this new engine. The only concern is Cold War before, which I've always said this, Vanguard to me was like a beta test for this new engine for trying to get used to it.
That's what I've been saying.
And everyone would show me all the time, and I'm just like, I don't care. It's a live environment. They're going to get tests done. And I feel like this will be like not a test per se, but the first time releasing content where they're like fully behind it. I think Vanguard, they were probably a bit behind it, but they probably did think this probably is a bit better feeling still. And I remember during season 4, prior to that, menus were very clunky sometimes and buggy, and I think I got fixed in season 4. I don't know when you played if you still felt they were a bit buggy. But they might be a bit buggy, but they felt better overall to me.
Yeah.
But that's the last image I had, was the Las Almas map.
There is apparently also, I don't know if you saw, there is a gameplay review next week at Gamescom.
It's for campaign, right?
Yeah, but you never know. Maybe at the end.
Potentially. I remember, when was it? When they normally do the game reveals, it's normally like them going through a campaign mission and that's it. Like, I think we'll just see the campaign mission that the people that went out got to see. And that's when they'll be able to discuss, like, that whole campaign things on the timeline. It's what happened last year, I think. It might not have been at the same event. It might be in a different event. Oh shit, Dave Vonda has left Treyarch.
Oh, did you not see?
I don't go on Twitter that much anymore.
Yeah, he left.
I did tweet out my stream, but that's about it.
Marty's no longer retweeting anything. He got banned.
Yeah, he'll get banned for retweeting stuff now.
Yeah.
So when it comes to MWIII Zombies, are you excited and do you think the game's going to do well?
I feel like it's going to do well.
Great. I think that MWIII Zombies will do well, but I think it's going to have this sort of, I'm going to say advanced warfare feeling, where I remember Advanced Warfare, people got the game and people were like, oh, I don't think I like this. And then some people went back and went, you know what, I actually really enjoy this, and then just continued playing. I feel that's what's going to happen. MW3's Zombies portion, I think people are going to be like, oh, this isn't round based, I don't know if I'll enjoy it, doubt themselves, and they'll get into it and just be like, actually, I really like this, and slowly grow up to like it. The mission system, I mean, this sounds like what I asked for launch of DMZ. I said, give me DMZ, get rid of the AI, which, I mean, we've still got the AI, hostile soldiers shooting at me, and put zombies in it. That's what I've been calling for so long. I mean, I think it was with Greg or Insane I've been talking to this about at launch of the game, and we're getting it. And Insane was on my side with that, saying that I'd love that. And I'm just so glad that I'm getting something similar to that. I'm also glad we're not getting round-based as well. I know that sounds a bit tongue-in-cheek, because I like zombies and that's mainly round-based. But I like when they try and experiment and do new things, because I think that for the developers themselves, the expectation of round-based probably is a lot daunting on them. And it's pretty much a distraction, because if they're doing a round base, I think they're just going like, wait, we need to do this, we have to focus on this, we need to get everything perfect. If they get to experiment and try new things, they can go, oh, this would actually work in a round based environment as well. Then that's a new thing that can be added to round based to make it feel better. I think Vanguard Zombies round based for Shino Numa, to me, felt better than Cold War round based, just because of the Covenant system.
Okay. And
the upgrade and stuff in game. I will say I didn't really enjoy how the perk upgrade went in Vanguard. I liked the idea of it at launch, I just don't think it went well in round based. I'd say the biggest issue with Vanguard, and the reason why I'm not too fond of Vanguard, was the overall game mechanics. And what I mean by that is, what was I playing for? When I got to a level 30, what was I getting? I wasn't getting these Ethereum crystals to upgrade stuff. I wasn't getting a currency to spend on gobblegums or elixirs or talismans even from BO4. I was only really playing it for camos and leveling up. And that to me is just such an old idea of progression that it just wasn't too exciting for me. But I think when you talk about just the map specifically, Vanguard was better. As a map, Vanguard Shi No Numa has a better map than all of Cold War's maps, in my personal opinion. I just think Cold War's better because of that gameplay loop and progression loop it had. I'm not saying Cold War's bad. I'm just saying, like, if we just looked at the map, if you didn't look at the overall, if you didn't look at the map plus the gameplay loop, because of course, not the gameplay loop, the progression loop. Cold War's better than Vanguard in aspects, but I think Vanguard, if you put Vanguard's Shi No Numa into Cold War, that's a perfect combination.
Yep.
Because you have that progression loop, and I think that map works well. And of course, you'd have the Cold War perks in as well instead of the thing is, and I think that's probably even better as well. Because I remember when I was doing this, someone tweeted that Die Maschine was the best launch map of all time, which I don't know how you feel. For Treyarch,
No.
they said.
No, I saw that tweet and I was like, that's bollocks. It's Shadows of Evil.
I didn't think it was Shadows of Evil either.
Really?
Yeah, but I did tweet back and I just deleted it because I just don't like getting to pay disputes. But Die Maschine has the best launch period of any Treyarch map, but that's because of Cold War's overall progression loop.
Yeah.
But as a map, if you put Die Maschine into other games, it doesn't hold up that well. And I think the best launch map would technically have to go to a BO4 map, in my personal opinion. I think where BO4 gets let down was the crashing experience, which just wore people out. And the thing is, I think it's a bit... I don't think it's Shadows just because at launch I remember everyone hated it. And that's just because what fixed Shadows of Evil was the updates they gave that map over time. And I think when it hit like Dijak, you could do a lot more things that were a lot more freeing. You didn't have to hold one part at a time, then you could hold multiple parts, and I think that made that progression of the map better. I don't know which BO4 map I'd give it to. Probably
9.
It'd be 9 or Voyage for sure.
9 for me.
Because
I really like 9.
I like 9 as well. I think for sure it's one of those two, then probably Shadows. Then I think the other 3 you can just put in any order for Treyarch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a go at anyone for putting them in different orders. We got off track a bit there.
Okay.
I don't know what we're talking about, but we'll go back to the question. Will MWIII Zombies be any good? I think it will be good. If you're skeptical, wait for people to play the game. I'm planning on doing content again at some point this year. I was actually going to make a video discussing my whole ideas, and I was just like, I'm too lazy to edit a video. I'm just going to live stream instead.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we did with the podcast and everything. I mean, I made a video yesterday, and then a lot of the information came out from Noah, and I was like, God damn.
I didn't realize, did Noah go to the event?
Yes, he did. Did you not see all the things that he tweeted? That he said on the street?
Oh, I didn't go to his stream.
Okay, newbie, you're gonna open up a whole new can of worms because I'm gonna send you something.
What I'm hearing is that get back on the toxic get back on the toxic wasteland of zombies is what I'm hearing.
Hold up. Okay, so there's this guy called Modern Warfare 3 Intel, and he actually has all the things up.
Modern Warfare 3 Intel.
Here, I just got you this thing. So, the thing is, let's go start here. In Modern Warfare Zombies, you will info on the edge of the map. The 81st storm will be in this mode storm near the end of the game. Jug canisters, assuming all perks, can be put in your inventory and used at the beginning of matches. There's also gold canisters with a ray gun case. They also exist, but it was not explained what they do. While there are one-time consumables in Modern Warfare Zombies, you can also craft permanent upgrades with schematics. There are 3 levels of AI humans to fight via strongholds in Modern Warfare Zombies. At the end of each Modern Warfare Zombies game, you will play through a linear mission that once complete will progress your story via cutscenes. There's 3 acts, which are individual games that span an hour each. For the Modern Warfare 3 Zombies briefing, it was presented by Kevin Drew, Associate Director of Design at Treyarch in charge of zombie systems and Outbreak for Cold War. He did not work on Vanguard Zombies, make of that what you will.
Interesting.
There you go.
I know I knew most about that, but I think I heard that on the grapevine. I didn't realize it came from Noah. There's one thing, you were talking real fast, but I think there was one thing that you said which I didn't know. I'm just trying to find where he said this. One time with Modern Warfare Zombies, you can also craft permanent grades with schematics. Which to me sounds like Fortnite saved the world with the schematics thing.
Yep.
God, I haven't played that in a while. Do you have the exact tweets that you were sending out?
The ones I just sent you?
The one that you just I've put that in, but I don't see that exact. Maybe I missed it.
It's in his tweets.
Yeah, I'm looking at his tweets and I'm just scrolling down. I'm just past it. I feel like.
Oh, weird.
The gold canisters with the ray gun thing. I heard about that, but I imagine that's a thing you take in and that gives you a ray gun in game, right?
I don't know for certain.
At the end of each Modern Warfare Zombies game, you'll play through a linear mission that once complete will progress the short story via cutscene. Huh. So yeah, this makes it sound like it's an end of a game, not via that mission thing.
That's what I was talking about. I thought you knew. That's why I said it.
No, I thought it was more like you do these little silly, missions, and then you get faction progress, and then the linear mission something you select that then you can activate it in the map or something that starts there. No, that's interesting. If it's an end of imagine that though, an end of a map after an hour. All the people that's going to be there are people who play zombies. The average person isn't going to stay there for a whole hour.
Nope. That's why I was so surprised with how they went with this. I was like, wait, what?
There has to be another way to activate it. Maybe there's an end of game. Maybe it's once you reach the middle, potentially. So maybe you can do it in less than an hour. I'm very curious. I really want to do something with this mode comparatively. You know how you have records and stuff? That's kind of the competitive stuff.
Yep.
I'm just wondering if you can do something competitive for this, or if it's gonna be just not too random, because random's fine in a sense. If random wasn't fine, then there could be never anything competitive in Zombies ever, except for records. But I'm really curious what can be done for this.
A lot can actually be done with this.
It can. In my head, how I've got it, there is. But there's also that bit of worry about, oh, what if it's not like that?
I can see what you mean, but I believe it's gonna be alright. I feel like it could be competitive, because what they could do is, in the later down the line, they might introduce like a grief mode. Imagine that. Because remember how there were leaks that grief was supposed to come back.
Mm-hmm.
They might have changed it into this.
Yeah, potentially. I think if this mode does well, I can see there being other types of mode with zombies being added that isn't round based. I think round based is the one mode that will not get added to this game, just because I think they're saving that for their own game, which I again think's fine. But I am curious if like they can turn on like, hey guys, limit time only, we're having PvPvZ happening, or we're blocking you off into like a small zone, and you're going to be playing grief now, or you're getting blocked into a small zone, you're playing turned. Maybe you're getting blocked into a small zone, you're playing infected. But you can get infected by zombie AI as well if you get hit once.
That'd be cool. I was also thinking about this because we know that Modern Warfare 2 outbreaks are returning and everything in Modern Warfare 3.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they already recorded zombie first lines? And that there's somewhere maybe in those codes?
I don't think it'll be in code, unfortunately, because I don't think it needs to be in this sort of like fight. It don't need to be in the MWIII files, it needs to be in the Warzone files. I would imagine if they already had this planned, every voice actor in the game has done zombies lines, I'd imagine. Snoop Dogg's you can just take from Vanguard anywhere, even if you didn't get him to do new ones.
You slapped the fool out of me?
I can't remember. Everyone that's in Modern Warfare 3, like Captain Price should have it, Soap, Farah, everyone else. And then
whatever it is, that's real, whatever the fuck that is.
I imagine it's like Starlight, all them, Izzy have done zombies lines, I'd imagine. Like, I'd be shocked if they've had this planned ahead and they've just got no zombies related lines at all. Unless they're recording the, because I don't know who voice acts all these. But even if it's like they did it at home, but I doubt they would. I'd imagine they went to the studio to do it. I imagine they've all done voice lines. I'd hope they have. It'd be annoying to go into that and it's just like, oh, there's a bad guy over there. Or whatever the voice line is.
Watch out, badass.
Yeah, or they've just named like, oh, boss over there, and that's just the big guy, whatever the enemy is. We don't know. The order.
Over there.
The big ones can move.
The big ones can move.
I think I've discussed everything that I want to discuss, and I think I've said everything that I think. Oh, I guess the one thing actually that I haven't discussed yet on my little notes. Do we think MW3 Zombies will be happening on multiple maps, or will be stuck on just the one launch map?
Look at DMC. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Do we think then, second part of the note, do we think we'll get zombies only areas like Building 21 and Koshki Complex?
Yes. I think those are the sub maps that they were talking about.
So you think they'll be a bit like I said, they'd be out of the map, not like in the map, like Glover had like that little defense region?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how it'll be as well. And yeah. Do you think, then, I'll add, the sub-maps will be like Koshki Complex, where you have to activate in the big map, or do you think you just go to that map from the menu?
I think you'll have to go on the menu.
Okay, so a bit like Building 21. I think there'll be both, but I don't know if both will be... I think that the sub-maps will be done in menu, potentially. But then some sub-maps will be done in-game, where you have to go somewhere to get taken to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all my notes. I think, yeah.
Alright. I think I'm gonna go then as well. I've been talking for non-stop like 3 hours now.
Do not pray for easy lives, my friends. Pray to be stronger men. Hey John, how you doing? Yeah, you go get some rest. I'm probably gonna end off my stream here. Right. I was live for like half an hour longer than I wanted to be, so that's all good. But thanks for joining me, Flamer. And are you I'm busy tomorrow. We'll catch up sometime next week.
Yeah,
and it's been so long, Flamer. We need to catch up.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week, and I'll see you all in stream later. See ya.
Have a good one.